I invited Aaliyah to my 16th birthday, out bowling with me and her friend and my partner at the time. I learned later that she hated bowling, and when I asked why she came, she replied with, "Well, I really, really liked you and wanted to be close to you." I knew she'd had feelings. We'd almost kissed that one time in the dressing room. I'd tried to convince myself it was just pre-show giddiness coloring her actions, but I knew deep down that it hadn't been like that for her. I didn't know what to do with this information, that she had liked me for longer than we'd actually been friends. In probably both the best and the worst move, I ignored it. Now that I knew she had feelings for me, it was easy to see. They never really went away. She never really stopped loving me, even when she fell in love with one of our other friends. I thought about it a lot, about what it would be like to reach over the car seat and kiss her, to ask if she loved me and be sincere in wanting the answer to be yes. I wanted to want her to want me, but I didn't want it. I couldn't. And when we stopped being friends, quietly realizing that there was nothing left in the back corner booth of a Panera, I was left with an Aaliyah-sized hole and an emotion I wasn't sure what to call. Ed and I became friends in the most flash-flood way possible. We sat at the window seat of a burger place, commiserating about how everyone thought we were exactly like each other, listing off ways that they were correct, and skirting around the idea of a queer platonic relationship, and then not skirting around it 3 hours later on Facebook. Ed was desperate, and I was wanting after not being close to anyone for over a year, so I agreed. Pulled them along into something I knew I didn't want from the start because it felt bad to say no to something so nice and direct. 2 weeks later they brought it back up because I'd done nothing to keep it going, and they knew I didn't feel anything, and I did nothing to tell them otherwise, and we went back to being casual friends until the summer. Ed was upset because I wouldn't open myself up to them, had cried about it to another friend that I didn't know yet. But in the basement of their house, spinning circles in a desk chair and very, very high, I told them about myself, and my feelings, and my emotions. Ed was delighted, and I was mortified, but it was fine. They'd gotten what they wanted, some emotional intimacy, and I hadn't known they'd wanted that until then. But everything became incredibly clear in the moment they'd told me they'd cried about me being so distant. They were back to that quiet desperation. Or maybe it had never left, and I ignored it in favor of connecting to someone in a way I hadn't in a long time. Nick was given a precursor. "They're going to want to fuck you right when they meet you," I was told. So I braced for the worst. They surprisingly did not want to fuck me right when they met me, and it was nice being able to be friends without that hanging over our heads. Then a month later, something must have changed because they became incredibly touchy, clingy in a way I wasn't used to. I could tell they had feelings, regardless of the fact that they had a partner. I tolerated it, and then it got brought up and no one could really ignore it anymore. "You being my friend is the most important thing to me. Nothing else matters," they told me in their car. I knew this, of course. They'd made it abundantly clear many times. Along with, "I'm not in love with you." But they had feelings, and we all knew they had them. And I knew that they were messier than either of us wanted to deal with. So I didn't. In the midst was Sylvia. She also fell in love with her friends too easily. Any kind of gentle affection would get her. And one night, high in the back seat of a car parked at Walmart and waiting for the others to come back, the feelings got planted. "I saw Mothman. Wait, no, I said that out of instinct. I saw a cart and I thought it was Bigfoot," I said, waving my hand in the direction of the cryptid-shaped cart as I leaned on her heavily. I was giggling, and I curled my arm around her neck to touch her face from behind with my other hand, wanting to feel the heat on her cheeks from being so close. She kept an arm wrapped around me the entire night, and we leaned in closer once we were back home, pressing squishy arm against squishy arm. She was better at keeping it quiet, and I wouldn't have known if I hadn't have been told by a friend. But I was, and I knew, and it wasn't very obvious, but it was there. It colored my actions because I didn't want to give her false hope. Didn't want to drag her along in something I knew I'd never be a part of. And she never mentioned it, never acknowledged it with me. And it was better. From everyone I get this feeling of disappointment, wanting me to want them back in ways we all know I won't. I love them all, but not how they love me. I'm a letdown of a relationship, but an asset of a friend, and it's fine. Or it isn't.